In this lesson, we're going to talk about how circumference and area are actually related. If I know one, I can definitely find the other. Okay, we can find area given circumference, and we can find circumference given area. So let's check this out. So we know a circle has a circumference of 22 pi feet. We want to know what the area is. So let's just underline or highlight our important information. Circumference is 22 pi. That's very important, and what we want to know is the area. So our goal here is area, and we're starting with circumference. So circumference is 22 pi feet. Area is our main goal, pi r squared, right? We don't know what the value of the area is, but we know the formula for area is pi r squared. We also know the formula of circumference, 2 pi r. We can use this information, right, to work backwards to solve for r. Let's use a different color. Those are a lot alike. How about yellow? If we solve for the radius, we can then substitute in here, and then we can find area. So let's do that. We know that the circumference in this case equals 22 pi. But we also know circumference equals 2 pi r. So let's solve for the radius and work from there. You can either do this in one shot or you can do it in two. If we divide each side by 2 pi, we get that the radius is now by itself, which is our goal. That's what's happening. Okay, and we have 22 pi over 2 pi. Pi's and pi's will cancel. Now we're left with 22 divided by 2. That's 11. So the radius equals 11. 11 what? 11 feet. Because if the circumference is in feet, so would the radius be. Now, knowing that this is 11, we can go ahead and substitute. So the area would equal pi times the radius squared. Okay, it doesn't tell us if they want us to round or not. So you can give answers in both ways if you wish. So 11 squared is 121. Right, so we have 121 pi, and the units would be feet squared because we're talking about area. And then if we wanted to round our answer, which would be 121 times pi, we get 380.1, and round to the nearest tenth. 380.1 feet squared. Okay, it doesn't really tell us what to use, so usually when it doesn't tell you to round or leave in the terms of pi, we usually go for the exact answer, which would be leaving it in terms of pi. But usually I would give you directions on which one you would need to do. Okay, let's find the exact circumference of the circle below. Okay, the word exact is underlined because this means that we are not approximating, we're not rounding. You need to leave in terms of pi. So when you see the word exact, you need to leave it in terms of pi. Okay, we know the area is 25 yards squared. We want to know what the circumference is, so let's start off with area. We know area is 25 pi yards squared, and I'm getting that from here. And we also know area is pi r squared. Okay, that's the formula for it. So to solve for the radius, which is our goal, so that we can figure out what the circumference is, because all we need to do to find circumference is substitute the radius into this formula here. We can set these two equal to each other. 25 pi would have to equal pi r squared. We want to get that radius by itself, and what's stopping that r by itself, and what's stopping that is the pi. We have pi times radius squared, so to undo multiplication, we divide. The pi's will cancel on this side as it will on this side. And this is why we like to keep our answers exact, because if we had rounded 25 pi, it would be harder to divide by pi. Now I'm left with 25 equals r squared, and a lot of us fall into the trap that, well, the radius must be 5. But that's not the case. To solve for r, you need to take the square root of each side. So that way r would equal 5, plus or minus 5, right? Us as good mathematicians know it would be plus or minus 5. However, a negative radius would not make sense. You can't have a radius of negative 5 yards. It has to be positive. Measurements are never negative. You can't be negative 5 feet tall. Once I know that the radius equals 5, okay, I can substitute. So we have c equals 2 pi times the radius, which is 5. So the circumference would be 10 pi, or it would be 31.4 yards, okay? But we don't actually need this guy because I forgot. They said to find the exact answer, so just kidding. It would just be 10 pi yards. Okay, and the yards come from the same units used for area, but a circumference is just yards and not yards squared.